The post-colonial discourse stems from the colonization of countries throughout history and focuses on the relationship of the dominating culture over another. The subsequent exploitation of the subordinate culture is explored through this discourse. A post-colonial critique questions how the colonized culture was affected and how it affected the identities and thinking of the people in that culture. It also reveals a binary of self and other, which is created and perpetuated in colonial thinking. An important scholar in the post-colonial studies is Edward Said. His book, Orientalism, from 1978, introduces the binary of self and other and the inaccurate representation of the other by the colonizers and the West. In this system of representation, the West is creating an identity for cultures without the agencies of those people in that culture. The other becomes a constructed identity opposite to the constructed Western identity. In pop culture, we can look to the Game of Thrones book and TV show series as an excellent example of the post-colonial binary. In this fantasy land, most of the plot develops on one continent, appropriately named Westeros. In Westeros, many houses and families are fighting for the right to rule and to sit on the Iron Throne. Almost all people from Westeros, from the lands in the north to the southern islands, are played in the TV show by white actors. They have Eurocentric names and speak English with a British accent. People in Westeros embody the Western self of the post-colonial binary. Across the narrow sea is the land of Essos, which is much larger than Westeros. However, Essos is rarely called Essos, and the cities in it are usually just described as the free cities, or the cities not ruled by the king in Westeros. People in Essos are not given elaborate histories or backstories like those in Westeros. They usually fall into two categories: those in Essos who live in various cities that practice slavery, and the Dothraki. Both groups are usually portrayed by non-white actors who don't have a British accent. The Dothraki in particular are a group of nomadic horse-mounted warriors who have their own strange-sounding language and live in the vast central plains. The men have exotic long braids of hair and fight with curved swords on horseback. Their customs are wild and barbaric compared to those in Westeros. At weddings there is public sex and deaths, and their language has no word for thank you. As a viewer of the TV show, you see the Dothraki as a barbaric race. We cannot understand their language but have to read through subtitles. Their customs seem foreign and savage compared to those of Westeros that have a medieval Europe quality that we are familiar with. The post-colonial binary is most clearly seen through the character of Daenerys Targaryen, or Dany. Her family used to rule Westeros but was overthrown when Dany was a child. Now she believes it is her right to rule, but must find an army and supporters in Essos to do so. She marries the leader of the Dothraki and is raped every night after their wedding. Dany embodies the Western self. She is fair-skinned and innocent. She is a young girl who has to marry the other. The other's identity is savage, barbaric, and uncivilized. However, staying true to the post-colonial binary, the Dothraki identity is presented to the viewer from the Westeros point of view. We do not get a chance to fully understand the Dothraki identity. It is only as an opposite to the civilized and refined identity of Dany. Dany soon learns to tame the savage beast, aka her husband, and wins the loyalty of the Dothraki people by conforming to their outlandish customs. Eventually, Dany's husband dies, and her dragon eggs hatch in his funerary fire. With the help of her new technology, her dragons, Dany leads the Dothraki to eventually conquer different cities. She casts off the culture of the Dothraki and now starts to look more like a ruler of Westeros. At this point, Dany looks to the other group of people in Essos, the people living in the cities. To grow her army, group of supporters, and supplies, Dany goes from city to city, freeing the slaves with her dragons and council of exiled Westeros men. Here again, the post-colonial binary is illuminated. with the viewers and Dany knowing nothing of the culture of these cities. Dany is only able to conquer them because of her dragons, much like the Europeans and their superior weapon technology in Africa. Although much worse things happen in Westeros than slavery, Dany takes it upon herself to abolish it without understanding the culture that is practicing it. In this scene, Dany speaks to the ruler of Yunkai, a city she is planning on conquering.
As I said, we are a generous people. You shall have as many ships as you require.
And what do you ask in return?
All we ask is that you make use of these ships. Sail them back to Westeros where you belong, and leave us to conduct our affairs in peace.
I have a gift for you as well. Your life.
My life.
And the lives of your wise masters, but I also want something in return. You will release every slave in Yunkai. Every man, woman, and child shall be given as much food, clothing, and property as they can carry as payment for their years of servitude. Reject this gift, and I shall show you no mercy.
You are mad. We are not Astapor or Karth. We are Yunkai. And we have powerful friends, friends who would take great pleasure in destroying you. Those who survive, we shall enslave once more. Perhaps we'll make a slave of you as well. You swore me safe conduct.
I did. But my dragons made no promises, and you threatened their mother.
Take the gold.
My gold. You gave it to me, remember? And I shall put it to good use. You'd be wise to do the same with my gift to you. Now get out.
After Dany conquers the city and kills most of the ruling class, some of the freed slaves follow her. However, after she leaves the city, the freed slaves are often enslaved again and treated worse than they were before. Dany's ignorance of Essos and its people's culture is apparent. The Dothraki and slaves in the cities have identities that are subordinate to Dany's created Western one. She uses these other people to help her realize her goal of conquering Westeros. The TV shows, and even the books, never give insight into the culture, thoughts, or wishes of the slaves or Dothraki people she conquers. Their representation is problematic because it is purely based on Dany's interpretation of them. Overall, Game of Thrones might be a fantastical story, but it clearly has post-colonial parallels to real life.